Welcome to the third video in this series on how to use Dolly for Build. In this episode, we are diving into one of Godot's biggest strengths. It's open source. We'll see how that gives us more freedom, flexibility, and control in our development process. We are also going to combine that power with Dolly for Build to create an efficient and streamlined workflow for your projects. I am Santiago Vélez and I am excited to show you what's possible. Let's get started. There are many advantages of Godot being open source that could help in your game development, but we're going to dive into the two main that will expand your knowledge in the engine and optimize your build. The first reason is that you can look into the GitHub repository of Godot for a feature that hasn't been merged into the master branch of the engine, compile it in Dolly for Build, and use it in your project. That way you can try new features, how it works, and even help in Godot development by testing it. The second reason is that we are going to optimize Godot export templates to a specific game, and that way when I export the game, we have game builds that are very optimized and lightweight. Okay, let's start exploring the first reason. I went to the Godot GitHub and I look for a new feature that is coming in. The contributor already opened a PR and you can see what it does. You can see all the comments that the community has made. So this PR, what it does is adds an object profiling tool. So what you need to do is go to Dolly for Build, get into the matrix blueprints and create a Godot matrix. This way we are going to tell Dolly for Build to compile Godot. So create Godot matrix. So we call it Godot object profiling. So we need the repository. We have to go into the contributor repository, which you can find here, opening a new link. The code is, we're going to use the HTTPS, put it here. The branch is, we copy it from here, the PR. This is the branch name. We put the name. We're going to compile it for production use. Production equal yes. And that's pretty much it. We go and save. For now, we're going to use only the editor. You're going to check the editor and the platform that you're using. In this case, I'm going to use macOS and Universal. I'm going to start with compiling only the editor for macOS. You can choose whatever platform you're using. We click trigger. If we go into matrix events, we can see that a new build has been queued. We're going to wait a few minutes and then I will show you how to proceed. So after a few minutes, you can see that the build has completed. You can review any of the stage logs, share it if you like, but in order to get the artifact, you go to storage and artifacts page. You can check all the artifacts that have been created. In this case, the editor is on a zip file. We also have the scones cache. So subsequent builds are faster because you have some cache in it. You click the context menu, download. Eventually, the file will start downloading into your computer. After you download the editor that we have just compiled with the new feature, we go to debugger and object DB profiler. You can see that we have compiled a new Godot editor that hasn't been merged into the master branch. You can try it for your project, see if you like the new features, and even help the Godot community develop the engine faster. Sorry for the layout change, but for this next part of the video, I need Godot and Dolly for Build side by side. What we're going to do is compile Godot export templates without some of the resources that the game that I have doesn't use. That will result in much more lighter export templates. Ultimately, will result in a game build much more light and easier to distribute. So for example, if you want to build for web, so you will end up with a lighter your game build, so your load times will be faster. Even if you are exporting for mobile, some of the stores have size limits on the build that you can distribute, so this is going to help on that. To do this, you go to Godot, Project, Tools, Engine Compilation, Configuration Editor. Let's stop for a second and analyze what is happening here. We are going to create a file that has a reference to which classes to be included when compiling the engine. For example, if we disable the 2D node, the export templates will not have the resources of the 2D classes. That means the export templates will be lighter because they don't have such resources. But be very careful, because if you disable one of the classes that your game needs, that build of your game will fail. So be careful. In this project, we are just going to disable the XR classes. Once you have selected all the classes that you want to remove, you click Save As, find a folder you can find later, type the file name. In this case, it's going to be TPS build profile. This file will eventually be needed to upload to W4Build. Click Save. Now that we have the build profile file stored in our computer, we need to configure W4Build to use it. So the first thing that we're going to use is you go to the engine profile, upload new profile, and you're going to select the file and save. Now, this is the file that we are going to use in the matrix blueprint. So we go to matrix blueprint, create Godot matrix, because we are going to compile Godot. So Godot matrix, configure Godot for TPS. We give a name for the matrix. We're going to use upstream Godot. We don't need a special repository. We are going to use master branch. So we want to use the latest production because we want to use our export templates for production use. Yes. And here is where it's special. You are going to select the file that we just created. So you come here and you select TPS build profile, use, and then save. In order to export your game in W4Build, you need the Linux editor. So we need to compile that. And then you're going to compile the templates that you are planning to release your game. So we're going to add template release for Linux. We are going to also for Windows, for Android, and for web. Let's add also macOS Universal. Now to trigger this Godot compilation, you click trigger and we click the button. You can go to the events page and we see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 builds have been queued, and these builds will produce or compile new export templates with the profile file that we just created. So these export templates are created specifically for this game. For the final section of this video, we're going to combine the two. We are going to use the compiled templates to export a game. That means we are no longer going to use Godot official export templates. We are going to use the ones that we have created that are specifically optimized for our game. For that, you go to Create Game Matrix, click Configure, TPS Build. This is the matrix name. This is how you can identify the TPS or the files that have been produced for this game. So TPS demo, it's not .NET. You get the repository. In this case, I'm going to use the TPS demo. You can find it in GitHub. We're going to use HTTPS because it's a public repository. The branch is going to be master. It's not in a subdirectory. We're going to use a release because we are not going to debug it. In here is the special part. We select custom because we are going to use a custom build of Godot, and you select Godot for TPS. Those will help W4Build identify which export templates you want to use. In this case, we call those files or are produced from the matrix called Godot for TPS, and save. Now in here, you're going to add what jobs to export. These are defined by preset names. Mac OS, you give it a name, TPS Mac OS. And then, of course, you can add more, but just to keep the video simple, you can add web, Windows, Linux, all that, and then you click trigger. In this video, you saw why W4 build is a great choice. You don't have to write any CI/CD code. It takes full advantage of Godot being open source, and it works really well with all Godot features. You can even build Godot for production without the high cost you'll get in other platforms. W4 build helps you get the most out of Godot with less work. At W4 Games, we are super excited to see what you can build.